Taylor.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
The only person you can compare Taylor Swift to is Michael Jackson.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
And she provides, I believe, over $6 billion to the U.S. economy.
Taylor Swift has transcended her role as a megastar and emerged as an economic powerhouse.
What if I told you Taylor Swift isn't saving the economy? That's right. Those billions she's supposedly pumping into local businesses, that economic boom her tours are creating, it might all be a carefully crafted illusion. In the next few minutes, we're going to shatter some myths, crunch some numbers, and reveal the truth behind the so-called Swift effect. Welcome to the place where pop meets economics. Hope you're ready for some bad blood.
But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
In a world obsessed with celebrity and spectacle, Taylor Swift reigns supreme. She's not just a pop star, she's a cultural phenomenon, a social media juggernaut, and if you believe the headlines, an economic powerhouse. But today, we're going to look beyond the sparkle and the hype to uncover the truth about Swift's supposed economic impact. Our story begins in the glittering world of stadium tours and chart-topping albums. The year is 2023, and Taylor Swift's Eras Tour is in full swing. Cities across America are buzzing with excitement, not just for the music, but for the promise of an economic windfall. Headlines scream about the tour's potential $5 billion impact on the U.S. economy. Local news stations feature beaming hotel owners and restaurateurs, all praising the Swift effect on their businesses. It's a narrative so compelling, so feel good, that few stop to question it. But that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's start our journey in Philadelphia, where Swift played 3 nights at Lincoln Financial Field. The city was electric. Hotels reported 95% occupancy rates, up from their usual 82%. Restaurants created Swift-themed menus with dishes like Shake It Off shakes and Fearless fries flying off the menu. Bars were packed with fans pre-gaming before the show. Local boutiques saw a surge in sales of sparkly outfits and friendship bracelet-making kits. It seemed like the Swift effect was in full force. To understand the scale of this event, let's break down the numbers. Lincoln Financial Field has a capacity of about 69,000 people for concerts. Over 3 nights, that's potentially 207,000 attendees. If we assume an average ticket price of $215, a conservative estimate given the range from $49 to $449 for standard tickets, not including VIP packages, that's over $44 million in ticket sales alone. Add to this the merchandise sales. At major concerts, the average attendee spends about $39 on merchandise. For Swift's shows, known for their elaborate merchandise offerings, let's estimate a higher average of $50. That's another $10 million over 3 nights. Then there's food and drink. If each attendee spends an average of $30 on concessions, a reasonable estimate given stadium prices, that's an additional $6 million. All told, just within the stadium, we're looking at around $60 million changing hands over 3 nights. It's no wonder local officials and businesses were excited, but here's where we need to start asking questions. How much of this money stays in Philadelphia? How much goes to Swift, a record label, and the tour promoters? And most importantly, is this really new money entering the local economy, or is it just being redirected from other spending? This is where our story takes its first twist. While it's true that certain businesses saw a boost, what about the rest of the city? What about the local movie theaters that saw a drop in attendance? Or the museums that had fewer visitors? This is what economists call the substitution effect. To understand this better, let's meet Sarah, a hypothetical Philly resident and Swift fan. Sarah spent $500 on concert tickets, $200 on a new outfit for the show, $150 on a hotel room to be closer to the venue, and $100 on food and drinks. That's $950 injected into the local economy, right? Not so fast. If the concert hadn't happened, Sarah might have spent that $950 on other local entertainment, shopping, and dining over the course of a few months. The money hasn't been created, it's just been concentrated into one Swift-shaped weekend. The substitution effect isn't just theoretical. A study by economists Robert Dodd and Victor Matheson on the economic impact of sports events, which share many similarities with large concerts, found found that increased spending in one sector often led to decreased spending in others. Let's dive deeper into this concept. When a big event like a Swift concert comes to town, it doesn't just create economic activity, it displaces it. Local residents who might have gone out to dinner and a movie instead of spend their money on concert tickets and merchandise. Tourists who might have come to Philadelphia for its historical sites and museums might delay their trip to avoid the crowds and higher hotel prices. Moreover, some local residents might actually leave town to avoid the concert crowds, taking their potential spending with them. This phenomenon, known as crowding out, is well documented in studies of major sporting events. As we dig deeper, we uncover more cracks in the glittering facade of the Swift effect. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. That $5 billion impact? It sounds impressive until you realize the US GDP in 2022 was $25.46 trillion. Swift's entire tour, spread over months and multiple cities, accounts for a mere 0.02% of the annual economy. It's like claiming a raindrop is flooding the ocean. To put this in perspective, let's consider some other economic figures. The US restaurant industry alone generates about $900 billion in sales annually. The annual economic impact of the entire US music industry, including live performances, recordings, and rights, is around $170 billion. Suddenly, that $5 billion doesn't seem so earth-shattering, does it? But surely, you might say, Swift is creating jobs. And you'd be partially right. The Eras Tour employs about 3,000 people. That includes everyone from sound technicians and stage designers to security personnel and merchandise sellers. It's an impressive operation, no doubt. However, let's put this in context. The U.S. economy added 339,000 jobs in May 2023 alone. Swift's tour staff, while hardworking and skilled, is a drop in the bucket of overall employment. Moreover, many of these jobs are temporary. Once the tour moves on, so do the jobs. Let's break this down further. Of those 3,000 jobs, how many are actually new jobs created in each city the tour visits? Many of the key personnel, from the sound and lighting technicians to the stage crew and Swift's own band, travel with the tour. They're not local hires. The local jobs created are often low-wage and temporary: additional security, cleaning staff, food vendors. While these jobs are certainly valuable to those who hold them, they don't represent a significant or lasting boost to the local job market. But what about the long-term impact? Surely all this economic activity must lead to some lasting benefits. To answer this, let's travel to Glendale, Arizona, where Swift kicked off her tour. The city was so excited, they temporarily renamed themselves Swift City.
March 17 and 18, 2023, the city of Glendale will be renamed Swift City.
Local officials predicted a massive economic boost. Fast forward a few months, and what do we see? While local businesses certainly enjoyed a good weekend, there's little evidence of any lasting economic impact. The jobs created were temporary, the boost to local businesses was short-lived, and the city is back to business as usual. This pattern repeats in city after city. It's what economists call the flashlight effect, a bright but brief illumination that quickly fades, leaving the underlying economic landscape unchanged. As we continue our investigation, we find ourselves in Chicago, where local businesses went all out to capitalize on Swift's arrival. Restaurants offered Swift-themed menus, bars created special tay-tales, and hotels provided Swift packages complete with themed room decorations. But here's the rub. Many of these Swift-themed promotions simply replaced other events or promotions that would have happened anyway. The Tales took the place of the usual summer cocktail specials. The Swift hotel packages replaced the standard weekend getaway deals. It's not new economic activity, it's just wearing a different, more sparkly outfit. This brings us to a crucial point in our story: the difference between economic impact and economic activity. Sure, Swift's tour generates a lot of activity. Money changes hands, goods are bought and sold, but much of this is just a reshuffling of existing spending, not a net gain for the economy. To understand this better, let's take a detour into the world of sports for a moment. Studies on the economic impact of major sporting events like the Super Bowl have consistently found that the actual impact is often just 10% of what's claimed. For example, when the NFL claimed the 2015 Super Bowl would bring $500 million to the Arizona economy, economists Victor Matheson and Robert Bod estimated the real figure was closer to $30 million to $130 million. While concerts aren't exactly the same as sporting events, the principle holds. The economic impact of big events is often dramatically overstated. So why is there such a big discrepancy discrepancy between the claimed impact and the reality, there are several reasons. First, these estimates often ignore the substitution effect we discussed earlier. They count all spending as new spending, which simply isn't accurate. Second, they often use questionable multiplier effects. This is the idea that a dollar spent in the local economy will be respent multiple times, amplifying its impact. While this does happen to some extent, the multipliers used in many economic impact studies are often grossly inflated. Let's break down this multiplier effect. The basic idea is sound. When you spend money at a local business, that business then spends some of that money on supplies, wages, etc., creating a ripple effect through the economy. However, the size of this effect is often exaggerated. A realistic multiplier might be around 1.5, meaning each dollar spent generates an additional 50 cents of economic activity. But some impact studies use multipliers of 3, 4, or even higher, dramatically inflating the perceived economic impact. Third, these studies often ignore the costs associated with hosting large events. Extra police overtime, cleanup costs, and wear and tear on infrastructure are rarely factored in. For example, when Philadelphia hosted Swift, the city had to pay for additional police presence, traffic management, and post-event cleanup. These costs eat into any economic gains. Lastly, they often fail to account for money that leaves the local economy. When you buy a Taylor Swift t-shirt at her concert, most of that money isn't staying in your city. It's going to Swift's merchandising company, the shirt manufacturer, often overseas, and various middlemen. But why? Why are we so eager to believe in the economic magic of Taylor Swift? Part of it is what psychologists call the visibility bias. Swift's impact is highly visible. We see the crowds, the merchandise, the packed restaurants. What we don't see is the subtle shift in spending patterns, the businesses that lose out, the long-term economic trends that remain unchanged. There's also a powerful narrative at play. The idea of a pop star boosting the economy is a feel-good story. It allows fans to feel that their passion is contributing to some greater good. It gives cities a reason to celebrate. And let's be honest, it makes for better headlines than dry economic reports. Media plays a significant role in perpetuating this narrative. Local news stations love to run stories about the economic boost big events bring to town. It's an easy, positive story that viewers enjoy. But these reports often rely on the inflated numbers provided by event organizers or local chambers of commerce, without digging deeper into the underlying economics. Politicians, too, have an incentive to play up the economic impact of these events. Attracting a big-name concert to your city makes for good optics. It's a lot more exciting than discussing zoning laws or infrastructure improvements, even if those might have a more significant long-term economic impact. As we near the end of our journey, it's important to clarify something. None of this is meant to diminish Taylor Swift's artistic achievements or her importance as a cultural figure. Her impact on music, fashion, and popular culture is enormous and undeniable. When she encouraged her followers to register to vote in 2018,
that this award and every single award given out tonight were voted on by the people, and you know what else is voted on by the people? Is the midterm elections on November 6th. Get out and vote. I love you guys.
Vote.org reported 65,000 new registrations in a 24-hour period. That's the kind of impact that can have real, long-term effects on society. So what's the real Swift effect? It's not economic, it's cultural. Swift's true impact lies in her ability to connect with fans, to shape narratives, and to influence popular culture. These effects, while harder to quantify in dollars and cents, have a far more lasting impact than any temporary economic boost. Consider the friendship bracelets phenomenon from the Eras Tour. Inspired by Swift's lyrics, fans began creating and trading homemade bracelets at concerts. This trend exploded, creating a sense of community among fans. While the economic impact might be relatively small, the cultural impact fostering creativity, connection, and a sense of belonging among fans is immeasurable. Swift's influence extends beyond her music. Her fashion choices can make or break brands. Moreover, Swift's impact on the music industry itself is undeniable. Her battle with her former record label over the ownership of her master recordings sparked a nationwide conversation about artists' rights. When she decided to re-record her early albums, it wasn't just a business move. It was a statement that reverberated throughout the industry, potentially changing how future contracts are structured.
So I've been re-recording my first 6 albums because there was a thing that happened where I had wanted to own my work of my first 6 albums, and when I changed record labels, my first 6 albums were actually sold away from me. And so I decided to I just figured if I made them the first time, I can make them again.
Swift's influence also extends to the digital realm. When she criticized Apple Music's royalty policies in 2015, the company quickly changed course. Her ability to mobilize her massive fan base gives her a unique form of power in negotiations with major corporations. As our investigation comes to a close, we're left with a clearer picture of the Swift effect. Is Taylor Swift an economic savior? No. Is she reshaping the financial landscape of America? Not really. But is she a cultural force to be reckoned with? Absolutely. The danger in overestimating the economic impact of celebrities and events is that it can lead to misallocation of resources. Cities might invest heavily in attracting big concerts or events, believing they're key to economic growth, while neglecting more sustainable forms of economic development. Moreover, focusing too much on these flashy but fleeting economic boosts can distract from the real structural issues facing many local economies. Issues like income inequality, lack of affordable housing, or the need for better public transportation don't disappear just because Taylor Swift came to town. In fact, big events like Swift's concerts can sometimes exacerbate these issues. The influx of visitors can drive up short-term rental prices, making housing even less affordable for locals. The focus on downtown venues can draw resources away from other parts of the city. So the next time you see a headline claiming massive economic impact from a celebrity, an event, or even a policy, pause for a moment. Ask questions. Look at the bigger picture. And always check the numbers. Because in the end, economic reality might not be as glamorous as we'd like to believe. Let's appreciate Taylor Swift for what she truly is: an incredible talented artist, a savvy businesswoman, and a cultural icon. Her ability to write catchy tunes, to connect with fans, and to reinvent herself is remarkable. These are her real superpowers, and they're far more impressive than any inflated economic impact statistics. In fact, Swift's true economic impact might be found in less obvious places. Her success has inspired countless young musicians, potentially spurring innovation and growth in the music industry. Her emphasis on storytelling and songwriting has influenced a generation of writers across various media. These long-term diffuse effects are much harder to measure than ticket sales, but they may ultimately be more significant. Moreover, Swift's career trajectory offers valuable lessons in brand management and business strategy. Her ability to adapt to changing market conditions, from her shift from country to pop music to her savvy use of social media, provides a masterclass in career longevity in a rapidly changing industry. Business schools could arguably gain more from studying Swift's career than from inflated economic impact reports. As we wrap up our journey through the world of Taylor Swift's economic impact, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. We've seen how easy it is to be dazzled by big numbers and flashy events. We've learned about the importance of looking beyond surface-level economic activity to understand true economic impact. And we've discovered that sometimes the most significant effects are the ones that are hardest to measure. So here's to Taylor Swift for her undeniable impact on music and culture, and here's to you for taking this journey with us, for being willing to look beyond the glitter and the hype to understand the complex, fascinating, sometimes frustrating world of economics. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, while the numbers might not add up to economic magic, the real magic of music lies in how it moves us, connects us, and yes, sometimes even teaches us a thing or two about economics.